Hello everyone and thanks for joining us on AN24 TV News. I am Olufunke Olorunfemi. The Federal Executive Council has approved the engineering and maintenance contract of Mambilla hydropower project which has been on since 1972. The joint venture project is between Nigerian government and Chinese civil engineering company. The contract will cost over $5 billion and 35% of the fund will come from the Chinese Exim Bank, while the Nigerian government will provide 15% counterpart funding.
Last week's Federal Executive Council meeting was postponed, and instead President Muhammadu Buhari received the report of the committee which investigated the suspended Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Director General of the National Intelligence Agency. Talks about the Mambilla hydropower project have been in the air since 1972. But at this Federal Cabinet meeting, history is being made. Approval has been given for the engineering and turnkey maintenance contract for a joint venture of Chinese civil engineering firms at a cost of over $5 billion. 85% of the funding is to come from the Chinese Exim Bank, with the Nigerian government providing 15% counterpart funding.
The construction should take about 72 months, so roughly about 6 years. The scope of works are very extensive. They require the construction of 4 dams. One of them is 150 meters in height. The intermediate 2 are 70 meters in height, and the smallest of them is 50 meters in height.
Also approved at this meeting was the inclusion and domestication of the Boiler and Pressure Vessels Regulation Factories Act, which will standardize in line with world best practices how industrial machines are installed, how workers are trained, and how factories are run.
We needed regulations that will flow out from this main law to enable us talk about the type of boilers and pressure vessels that will come into Nigeria, the standardization of their codes so that they can conform to the global best practices and the global code we have in the United States, Britain, and all other places in the world, so that we have a standard, standardize them. And then the training of the personnel, what kind of training they will get, and the certification after the training.
Despite government's implied good intentions on the new national minimum wage, the story remains the same. The committee that would negotiate the new salary is yet to be fully constituted, and the Labour Minister is blaming the organized private sector for its failure to send the names of its own nominees.
The Defense Headquarters has denied reports that the military is monitoring hate speech promoters in order to arrest them. The Director of Defense Information, Major General John NHS, said this on Wednesday while speaking on a TV station. NHS said the military was just going to monitor the social media space but has no power to arrest anyone that makes hate speech on social media. He said it is false assertion against the military and against him that the military will arrest or checkmate Nigerians. Still on AN24 News, a Niger Delta group, the Foundation for Human Rights and Anti-Corruption Crusade, has warned the federal government to this plan to rearrest the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. In a statement signed by the group's national president, Alowei Cleric, the group warned that any attempt to arrest Kanu will jeopardize the unity of Nigeria and peaceful coexistence of the country. Still on the issue of restructuring, the pan-Yoruba socio-political group AN24 has reaffirmed its calls for the restructuring of Nigeria. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of the monthly meeting in Akure. The group noted that the only solution to the many problems confronting Nigerians was restructuring. It therefore called on Nigerians leaders to revisit the 1966 constitutional model. The group further stated that the problem confronting the nation will be a thing of the past if only the present administration restructure the country. Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogari has called on Muslim faithful in the country to use the Eid al-Kabir festival to promote unity, tolerance, peaceful coexistence to the spirit of sacrifice. The speaker pointed out the country could only fulfill its great potential as a nation if the citizen continues to foster unity, peace, security and stability, as well as show greater love. He further wished the Muslim Ummah a blessed and peaceful Eid al-Kabir celebration. And finally, on AN24 News, the United Nations of America has restated a commitment to work with Nigeria in the fight against terrorism and corruption. Leader of a congressional delegation visit to Nigeria, Senator Christopher Coon, made the statement at an interaction session attended by business, political and corporate Nigerians in Lagos. Coon said Nigerians and the United States are very similar in many areas of endeavors and are strategic partners. The two countries have a lot to tap from each other.
A United States of America Senator Christopher Coon has reiterated America's commitment to bilateral relationships with Nigeria in the areas of fight against terrorism, humanitarian aid, trade and investments. Senator Coon, who led an 8-member congressional delegation from the United States on a visit to Nigeria as part of a West African tour, made the declaration during a dinner held in honor of the delegation at the Consul General's residence in Ikoyi, Lagos. Addressing a crowd of guests comprising young entrepreneurs, professionals, journalists, businessmen and women, including Aliko Dangote and Tony Elumelu, Senator Coons, while hinting on concerns in the run-up to the last presidential election that America under President Donald Trump would sever relationship with Africa, stressed that from president to president, America's ties with Africa, particularly Nigeria, remains intact. Senator Coon, who disclosed that the delegation, besides meeting with political leaders, military heads, business and civil society leaders in Nigeria, visited Borno State, where they saw firsthand the suffering of the people affected by the activities of the terrorist group Boko Haram, assured that America will continue to work with Nigeria to confront terrorism and humanitarian situation created by the activities of the group. Coon commended the creative and entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians within the country and in the United States, while stressing the enormous market in the country and plans to strengthen trade relations.
And that's been the news on AN24 TV. Thanks for staying with us.